Triple Shot Mindset.
This happens to be the latest and greatest in hair growth. It has 282 medical grade lasers and LEDs in it to stimulate the scalp and promote hair growth. Now, the manual says, do not have this on your head more than once every other day, and I've been following it. However, I'm beginning to think maybe I should do it every day.
Why?
Speed up the process, bro.
I don't. Too much is not.
You're gonna fry your head.
Yeah, it's not more is more. It's the right amount. Even medicine becomes poison when you overdo it.
Okay.
Medicine is poison, but let's get to that.
Well, I mean medicine on a spiritual level. Even good company can be bad if it's...
Is meditation too much of it bad for you?
Thank you for finding our topic for the day, because I was wondering when somebody was going to say something that was going somewhere. So,
is too much meditation bad for you?
Absolutely. And there are horror stories of people who went too fast, too deep, and started to unlock parts of their brain, have like a Kundalini awakening. Here's the concept of Kundalini.
Thank you for the people who don't know it.
Yeah.
We obviously didn't know.
Of course, I know you guys both know it and know it well. But you've probably heard in spiritual circles and self-help, wellness, holistic circles, I had a Kundalini awakening.
All the time.
Have you really?
Once a week.
So it refers to this energy that's allegedly stored at the base of your spine. And this is like yogic wisdom. And
does that mean your tail?
Kind of in the tailbone area, but more so in like the root chakra, groiny, genitalia area.
Where I had the issue, I had to go see a doctor in August.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Should we?
No.
Okay.
Continue.
So the idea is in meditation, you're drawing this energy up your spine.
I didn't know that.
Into the crown.
You didn't know this?
I did not know. I'm going to my crotch and bringing something out.
Yes, you are. There's fluids in your spine that moves from top to bottom, bottom to top.
We've been doing meditation in this office for months, and nobody told me I got to reach down into my...
This is a specific type of meditation.
You do it? You go into your...
Hold on.
No.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Just the fact that you are focusing your mental energy draws from that place.
Got it. So
you do
don't
not have to visualize, although there are whole practices of Kundalini yoga which involve visualizing this well of energy and like you're dragging it up your spine into your mind. But just the simple act of concentration is enough to draw from that wellspring or that well store and activate your whole auric field and all of that. So what people do is they get overzealous, as we know, as humans, and they go balls to the wall, as the kids say. And there are horror stories that I've both heard personally and watched accounts of on YouTube of people who decided they were going to get into meditation and dove in like 6 hours a day. Like I'll do 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours at night. They wake up early. They're doing everything. What can happen is very accelerated changes of your brain, because meditation actually changes, just like we were talking about in our last episode. Go listen. The neural firing and wiring of your brain is changed by meditation, usually for the better. But anything that changes you has the potential to change you for the worst. So these people started reporting schizophrenic episodes, entities coming into their room, many voices in their head that they'd never heard before unlocked, nightmares, night terrors, the lady on top of the chest, the night hag, sleep paralysis, telepathic interference. So like starting to think you're hearing other people's thoughts. And what's really interesting about this to me is it correlates with people who have done too many psychedelic drugs. And if you look at the research, it's because the two are similar. They have similar effects on the brain. One psychedelic session can have brain-changing effects equaling like 6 months of regular meditation. So you can absolutely overdo it. There is such a thing as too much meditation. And my advice is go slow and steady with everything in life, because too much of anything shows a red flag. Why would anyone want to do too much meditation? Like, what are you trying to escape from? That would be my first question. Why are you doing 6 hours of meditation a day? You trying to get out of your life? Like, what do you hate so much that you're running away from?
Or too many haircuts.
Too many haircuts.
Like every day you get a haircut.
You'll be bald.
No, you just tell them, just take half.
Have you seen those barbershops where the guy goes every week, but there's nothing to cut?
He just putting the
a dusting, they call it.
Yeah, dusting.
Yeah,
what if you did dusting every day? That wouldn't like hurt you.
I mean, maybe not.
There you go. So not too much of a good thing. Is
Maybe
bad
that's not
for you.
too much. Too much would be getting like to the scalp, like and then shaving your head so much.
So what you're saying is that the duration of it is not good, but doing maybe 20 minutes a day is beneficial?
Absolutely. Absolutely, as you would say. Frequency and duration, as with everything in life.
F&Ds.
F&Ds. Figure it out. Figure out what's best for you.
What's the frequency, Kenneth?
Yeah.
That's a question.
Oh, what's the frequency? Kenneth?
Come on, Kenneth.
I know this is a song, but I forgot.
REM.
Ask your pops.
That's what you said last time, too.
Right.
Ask your pops.
I like how often you guys tell me to ask my pops.
Sure. Because
Well,
he's the same age as us.
closer to age.
You're further from his age than you are from mine.
Are we?
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I hope that makes you feel
Oh
better.
my God, that's so good.
So he's uninvited to the party.
Wait a second.
You know, he looks like.
That's not true.
Actually,
Sorry.
it is.
Sorry.
How old is he?
He was born in 56,
Mm.
and I was born in 92.
Mm.
Sorry about that.
Damn it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, he's back in the party.
He's invited.
He's back.
Doesn't he look like Luke Skywalker from the
Return of the Jedi.
like the X-wing fighters?
Yes,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah,
You're absolutely right.
Thank
Right.
you.
yeah. So, going back to your,
Shout out to Mark Hamill.
Yeah. Love you, Mark.
I'm gonna come out and say it.
Come out.
Okay.
Oh my God, you're gonna. It's time.
I'm gonna come out and say it.
Okay.
Our friend here, she is gifted.
Gifted.
Okay, gifted. Not just, look wise. Okay.
Huh.
Not just brain wise.
Why do you lie so much, dude?
we have to kind of
Okay. She's gifted.
but she's spiritually in tune with certain spiritual things. Right? And we didn't know this when we first hired you. But as time has gone on, and people should know this, that you have a special connection.
You have a gift.
You have a gift. Why don't we talk about that? I would love that to be a topic.
I
right
think
now.
everyone has this gift.
Tell us more.
The gift is. It ebbs and flows, and it has ebbed and flowed over the course
Okay,
of my
tell
life.
people what the gift is.
It's just I wouldn't even classify it as a gift. I'd just say it's a hypersensitivity, which is in all areas of life. It's with food, drink, and interpersonal relations, and also some connections to the spiritual side, which may or may not include, depending on the season of my life, light telepathy, trance states, visions, prophetic dreams, talking with people's spirit guides. There was a time when I did a lot of energetic healing work for people. That was some of the most remarkable things I've ever seen in my life, is the visions we would see on the table, and then in the discussions afterwards, how much it correlated with their actual life. And I think that's it. And aliens.
Aliens. So
do you consciously tap into these things and say, okay, today I want to do this. Let me grab it off the shelf and I can do it? Or is it something that you have to feel?
what he's asking
Like,
is,
do you do this kind of stuff on command? Can you is it that easy for you to get in tune with something and just perform?
It has been sometimes. It depends. And I cannot always control these things. There was a time in my life when the gifts kind of seemed to disappear. And then they came like roaring back. It ebbs and flows, like I said. And it typically depends on how healthy my body is, how healthy my mind is. The gifts are amplified if my health is amplified, usually is what like my vitality kind of dictates the power of the gift. But I still hesitate to call it a gift because it I have to say it carefully. When I was a child, these things were very normal for me. Talking to trees, I'd be like, I remember going up to my mom and telling her about the ficus tree we had in the backyard, and I was like, "Mom, the tree's name is Luke, and he needs more water." And she was like, "Huh, interesting."
Don't laugh it off. What was the reason you called it Luke? Is it just your imagination?
It told me
it
Luke.
Told you? Okay.
It told me Luke. And I also want to
did you
distinguish.
say he's your father?
No, but I love the Star Wars parallels that are going on here.
Shout out to Mark Hamill.
By the way,
And Pedro Pascal.
did he say I'm your father? Because according to
The Mandela Effect.
Mandela Effect, he didn't say that. But anyway, so a tree called you Luke.
Luke.
Called himself Luke. Luke, I'm your
He called himself Luke. All the trees had names. I used to talk to all the trees, all the flowers. But I also really want to clearly state that imagination and intuition are the same. If people could learn to embrace the initial impulse that their imagination gives them and not just write it off as my imagination, we would all be gifted.
Yeah.
I just got lucky because my mom encouraged me to be a wacky, imaginative kid. She was like, oh, what's that tree's name? And I'd be like, oh, that's Sasha or whatever. Like, and I just, or sometimes it would be a name that made no sense, like just a bunch of syllables together that didn't mean exactly.
Right.
But she encouraged it, and in that way, she really encouraged my intuition to flow.
Blossom. So would you say an imaginary friend by a child is actually a spirit?
Yeah, probably. Because even if they have a sort of a hand in creating it, we always think like if I imagine and I create it, it's not real. It could be the impulse of that spirit is causing you to come up with the idea, if that makes sense. Like maybe your daughter doesn't really have an imaginary friend named Mary, but maybe she chooses the name Mary and she's like making it up and it's not a spirit in her mind, but maybe there is a spirit named Mary that's like kind of feeding her the vibration to help her create it. You see this a lot in creative industries like art and music, where 5 artists will release a similar song with a similar beat or similar story at the same time. We call these trends in the creative fields. You're like, oh, this is trending, that's trending. Why is that trending? Why did so many people receive a creative idea if it's a brand new original idea that they just pulled out of nowhere? Then why is it rippling across the entire globe simultaneously? Because that does come from somewhere, has a source. So all creation and all imagination is directly linked to intuition. And the people who suppress are like, no, it's just your imagination. Then you're killing your gift.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember we were doing a meditation thing like 2 months ago.
I was here?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm just checking.
Not me, we.
Okay.
And for some reason, about 3-4 minutes in, I started seeing my deceased dog, Juju, right? And at the same exact moment, we had a little glitch in the music or the whatever.
The Bose sound speaker.
Yeah. It would, and then it continued. And then it did it again. And at that exact moment, I had this feeling that she's here, that she's trying to communicate with me. And her face was in my imagination, like right in front of my face. And she started to telepathically like say, I'm okay, I'm good, da da da. And when we were done with that 15, 20-minute meditation, I remember you said, oh, that was weird. I had a feeling that there was a animal in here.
There's a dog in
Who
here.
brought a dog in
Yeah.
here? Yeah.
And that was me. And so when those things happen, like if I were to tell this to my dad, he's like, maybe there was a earthquake in Peru, and the sound waves fucked up your moves, and maybe you were thinking of dog food because you were hungry, and all like he would come up with that thing and totally dismiss and devalue that experience. But when I talk to people who are more in tune, like my mom, she's like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. Do it again. Right? So I think the people you're around, like if your spouse isn't into it, it's like, that's all hocus pocus. It kind of kills off your gifts, your intuition, your imagination.
Absolutely.
And just dumps it down to a, level that it's kind of sad. So when you told us that you were brought here because of a reason, this office, and there was aliens involved, and there was spirits involved, and there was that, like that to me was like, wow, this is great. And now I see why, because we have such a great dynamic, and I know things happen for yourself.
I'm just kidding.
I know things happen for a reason. So, if you could nurture this gift, and I would call it a gift because I know you say a lot of people have it. Everyone has it.
Not a lot.
But the day
It's like saying everybody's got the gift of jumping, yet Michael Jordan's
Oh
You
my
know,
God, that was
that's
gonna
a
be
gift.
That was gonna be my example.
Okay,
Before you-
everybody can hop, but that dude can fly.
Yeah. Okay.
I
So
was
that's a
gonna
gift.
say everyone can jump, but not everyone can dunk. That was gonna be my next sentence coming out of my mouth, and then he said
Yeah.
that in itself.
And there's the gift.
That in itself is like, you know. So I think it's a gift, first of all. Second of all, does it come to you? Let's say I'm sitting here. Let's say my deceased grandfather or deceased grandmother or deceased dog or deceased someone or deceased or a spirit guide of
First of all, do they all have to be deceased to come to you? Can you see a spirit of a living person talking to you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
She would say.
So a spirit guide. Let's go like
Absolutely.
we're going personal here. Would a spirit guide be spirit, right? A spirit guide isn't like living right now. A spirit guide is somewhere in between.
You know, not always, but usually it's a person who or a being who's either gone on to shine on the other side or is from another planet where you have a parallel life. This is why when we had the conversation about parallel universes and you were like, there's only one, I was thinking,
Why don't you speak up then?
oh, I just licked the microphone. Well, because another thing is,
Because you have your opinion.
yeah, you
No,
can't.
but she can come in and say, I disagree with it because I see
But I believe you're pretty hell bent on actually that's how it is. So maybe
Did we even use that episode?
No, we didn't. That was where the fighting broke out.
Okay, yeah. So come back. So if you're saying in the moment, if a spirit guide appears,
and you can hear it, can you feel it? Can you see a vision? Like, how does that work? Like, let's say someone wants to communicate through you.
it never looks like I look in front of you now to me. I've heard and spoken with people who see spirits the way you see me right now, who have even confused them for real people in the room. That is not how it works for me at all. It's more like a whispering or a sensing. I'm like, oh, there's someone in the room right now. Like there's multiple beings in the room with us right now. A good way to get a feel for people. Yes. A good way to get a feel for people and what they're going to be like and what your relationship is going to be like with them for me is to look at the beings that are around them. And that's how I was like, oh, okay, good. Let's gravitate towards this space because you can see they're friends already or not. But yeah, it's always like a hearing, a listening, a sort of sensing. And I think people do it all the time. When you walk into a room and you're like, oh, I like the vibes here. It's because whether you know it or not, you're assessing their team of people around them and you like the way it feels. You don't know why, but your higher self that's seeing their guides does.
That's fascinating. I know everything on YouTube is true.
Wait. Before we go off that, just one more question about spirit guides.
Okay.
I'm actually going there.
Oh, you
Maybe
are?
we can add to it at that point.
All right.
On YouTube, I watch for research purposes, obviously.
Of course.
Nuke's top 5.
Slap Tam.
Yes, there are tons of fake shit on there. But then there's some stuff you say, holy shit, you cannot even do this with a Hollywood production. Where I see like a kid is playing and for half a second, grandma's face floats behind her. Is that like they're there with you, right? But we don't see it. Why is it that cameras can pick this up, but our eyes can't, or vice versa?
I think, this is tough. Because I don't see them visually like I see you, I can't say if those where grandma's face shows up is a real spirit or not. The way I see it is like a silhouette or a light, or it's like I can hear the frequency of their presence, like hearing a radio that's gone and you hear the static and then you hear the message. That's how it is for me. So when you see grandma's face behind the kid, I think I know exactly which one you're talking about. They're at Niagara Falls or something.
Yeah.
They're on a hiking trip.
Yes.
There's like some granny in the back. I don't know if the camera's really picking up granny, but I know when the camera sees orbs, and I don't just mean you reflect the light and it bounces off the lens, because you can make orbs in any shot. I mean when random things start to like float through, or you see a light, or you see the person like respond weirdly, because people usually are a better barometer for a spirit. Like we are hypersensitive instruments. If you ever want to know what someone's spirit guides are like, just look at the way the person moves and how they respond to their own 3 feet of space around them. And you can get a feel for what kind of
That's where they are, 3
spirits
feet
they
around
have.
me?
Typically, yeah. Oh, yeah. And there's one right there, which is, we can get into that another time. But to me, the videos where they show the lights or the orbs, that's much more along the line of what I see and perceive than videos where you really see a third dimensional person, like hunched over lady in the corner.
May I interject?
Of course.
You did mention that some people see an apparition,
like
clear
a person
as you.
Yep.
So why would that be such a not a kosher idea as seeing somebody on video that looks like a human being?
Because I think the way a video is, and this is why it's tough to answer, I can't say for sure, but a video camera is meant to pick up particles of light that are very dense. And I find that spiritual beings are usually a lot less dense than what a video camera is calibrated to see or to pick up. So unless the spirit is, for a human being to see them that dense, it makes much more sense to me because their faculties are much more advanced than a video camera. So they might have the gift, to use your own words, of turning that being into like a solid, dense thing that they can see. Like maybe they're very clairvoyant. Whereas for those of us who are clairaudient or claircognizant.
These are words I've never heard before in my life.
But Claire, I know Claire in high school.
We know Claire.
Okay, so some people they see all their psychic phenomenon through their eyes. So for those people, maybe when they see a spirit like it's the flesh, that makes perfect sense. For me, I get most of my psychic stuff through my ears and through my head. So I don't get to see it the way they do. So I'm saying a camera is not designed to be psychically picking up instruments. So for it to see a spirit that clearly doesn't make sense to me is what I'm trying to say. It's not that advanced as our human body is.
So let's go back, because when I was going to talk about the spirit guide, he said, "Oh, we can."
Yeah, I'm going there,
but he clearly didn't.
Well, my thing was is that a spirit guide? Like, if is a grandma would be can a grandma be a spirit guide?
Absolutely. My grandmas have been spirit guides for me. Even grandmas I wasn't very close to. Have shown up, and I've been
so I'm going to get back into my usual topic of talking point, which is dating, right? You know where I'm going with this?
No,
I know.
Of course you do. You know where you're going with it. So when I date somebody and I'm really interested in them, I usually come to you, right? Because you're the wise woman in this office. Right,
she's the only woman.
And I ask you questions. I'm like, this is this person, and you're like, and then you look around for a little bit, and you give me advice, right? Sometimes you say, you know what? Yeah, look somewhere else. Somebody say, you know what? It's worth waiting for this one, or somebody like, you know what? She's romantically interested, but she's not ready. And I ask you, like, is this the advice? You're like, well, some of it is womanly intuition.
Yeah.
Some of it is spirit guide.
Here is something I'll tell you right up front, which is both a blessing and a curse. The way my intuition works is the better I know somebody, when I'm in the same space with them, the more convoluted and shitty, for lack of a better word, my intuition is going to be. Because one of my skill sets or gifts is merging with people and becoming one with them, like getting in their head and getting in their soul and all this. And then once we're very connected, it's hard for me to separate them from myself and be objective. So I usually have to get out of the space, go home, clear everything. It's different with a stranger. I can walk up to a stranger and be like, oh, I hope your battle with cancer goes well, or whatever, because I don't know them. And so it's very clear. It's easy to see. I haven't lost my objectivity.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse, but with you, I will go away to my own home and get an impression of things that are usually much more connected to spirit than when we're in the office together screwing around.
Which we don't do.
We're very hard workers.
Work.
Yeah, we don't just screw around.
Yeah. And HR wouldn't like that.
Yeah. Gosh, HR. I've still never met our HR guy.
Yeah.
Gal.
So you go home. You clear your head.
And then I can get better impressions. Okay. Occasionally I'll whip out a tarot deck, which for the viewers and listeners, in my humble opinion, I'm Ho, does not have any inherent spiritual properties. Anything can be a tool for divination and reading. I have countless tarot decks, but I can also throw down a bunch of pens on a table and use that for divination if I want. Doesn't mean the pens are cursed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe I'll whip out a tarot deck and get some insights. And I've done that with you.
Yeah.
And been like, only when you've asked,
Yeah.
because that opens a door.
Yeah.
I don't like to go where doors have been closed.
I believe this young man wants to know every day. I think the way he...
So do I. I'm the same way.
Right.
Give me the update. What's the weather
he
today
wants
with
to
my lover?
know, He wants to know whether these ladies, potential, good for him, bad for him. So I think his need for knowing
I do the same.
is a lot.
Yeah.
Well, my need for knowing this morning you said something
Yes.
that kind of blew my mind.
I changed my opinion.
You changed your opinion?
You didn't notice?
No, you didn't.
Okay, what did I say? Tell me what I said, because I said something else that I wasn't sure if you picked up on, and then I thought I should just shush it.
Go ahead.
No. We'll talk about
say
after.
Okay, but you said something you're like, well, you think I just pulled this shit out of my ass? No, I hear the spirit guides.
Oh, I said that this morning?
Yes.
Do you remember this, Kevin?
I know, because I was busy working, actually, I think.
No, we were driving.
Oh,
we were
driving.
We were buying bread and cheese, just like,
I
common
can't
folk.
remember that.
I don't remember.
We were
sure it
on
wasn't
Irvine.
yesterday?
No, we were on Irvine Center Drive. We were coming back down on the freeway.
Oh,
And I said, how do you know this stuff? You
Oh.
said, because I don't put it out of my ass.
yeah.
You did say that. I don't put it out of my ass.
I discussed it with Spirit Guide.
Gotcha.
So how does that come about? Like, you reach out to someone else's Spirit Guide and you get a reading and you come back and tell me?
Or it's just a vibe you feel.
It's a little bit of both. It's exactly that. As usual, you guys are if you
too
put your
smart.
genii together, you would be world dominating. I mean, not that you're not already.
Mm-hmm.
But once I've connected with a person as closely as we three are connected, I can't help but know things against my own will sometimes, especially in the shower, which is why I tend to put music on. Shower for me is not the same that it means to you.
Oh, okay.
I tend to put music on and sing so that I don't get so much interference. For example, we had a former celebrity have a wild car accident recently, a few months ago.
I know.
Annie, what was her name? I can't remember.
The one that passed away.
Yes.
Yeah. With a D.
I was in the shower and we had talked about that story here in the office. My brother and I had spoken about it. And then when I was in the shower, I had this like moment of her soul making an announcement to like the city of Los Angeles that she was done and she was peacing out and goodbye to you guys. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess she didn't pass away. Right. And a few hours later, I received the notice that she didn't make it. She passed away. And I was like, oh, I didn't go out of my way for that information. It just showed up and I'm just there receiving it. Thanks. That happens all the time, especially with people I know. I hear conversations between people. I hear when people talk about me.
Damn it.
Yeah, it's okay. And this is all normal stuff at this point. And sometimes for me, if I haven't meditated a lot or done a lot of self-care, it can be difficult to separate my personal ruminations and worries because they come in the same voice, similar voices, not exactly the same. But when it comes to your love life, now that we're so intertwined as the three of us, I'm sure we formed a lot of parallel neural pathways, finishing each other's sentences, having the same thoughts. I'll have the music pop up in my head and you'll sing it.
Sing it.
Yeah. So it's all looped. So I will get impressions about your love life and it will change my perspective. Or I'll pick up on their thoughts and be like, oh, that's what they're thinking. Okay. And I'm not sure. In fact, I'm quite certain that I should not say some things.
Why?
Because that's not the way it's supposed to go. Believe it or not, knowing everything is not part of the mission of us humans on Earth. It's more like learning for ourselves, feeling everything, and learning the lessons we're supposed to know.
If there's something bad about to happen, would you be able to interfere and say, you know what, I would advise against that?
Yeah, and I would.
Okay.
And how firm will you be? Like, you shouldn't do that.
It depends on what I know. If I know that you're supposed to do it so you can learn something you really need to learn, and I'm like not supposed to interfere, then I'll just be like, hey, have you thought of, okay, because free will.
I can't wait for this episode to end because I don't know what you were talking about.
I haven't forgotten. I'll get to it. Thanks for putting me on the spot. It was fun.
Absolutely.
Any final questions or things you think our viewers or listeners would like to know?
Let's just finish it off so I can ask my question.
It's not going anywhere.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, we appreciate you sharing with us. I guess one last question before we depart for today. We talked about if something bad is about to happen, you can sense that, and maybe you will warn sometimes. If there's a bad seed, somebody that has malicious intent, can you feel that for somebody else? Like if some guy wants to cut his throat, do you see that? Do you feel that and say, hey, be careful of some guy with a knife walking in your neighborhood because he may want to cut your throat? Like how far in advance or how much?
That's such a good question.
Detail.
Here's how it usually works from my perspective. We're all the creators of our own dream, and we're all dreaming this reality together. And in one moment, the trajectory can change completely, to borrow your word.
Thank you.
What I have found when people are about to have something bad happen to them, like a car accident, or I've never actually personally known anyone who's been assaulted physically in the time I've known them, except for one distant friend who I'm not really a friend of intimately. What usually happens is the individual that I care about, let's say it's Ardy for this example, is in a really bad space. So it's not that I'm sensing a guy's going to show up and shank him to death. It's more like I'm sensing that Ardy is fallen into a black hole of negativity and self-destruction and is currently a vibrational match for about 150 horrible events. And maybe, in this reality, it's going to match with only 5 or 1 of those, but it's like a very vast pool of shitty things. So what I would do and have done with people I care about before is never reach out and say, FYI, I got a psychic vision, you're fucked. It's you reach out and say, how are you doing? You're on my mind. I care about you.
Oh my God, you've said that a bunch of times to me. Does that mean shit what's going to happen to me?
Yeah.
I've said that a bunch of times to you?
Yes.
Huh.
About my foot, about my eye, about this, about that.
It's one of those things where you can't give everyone everything you know. That's not meant to be given. What's meant to be given is love. And love can pretty much solve any problem and supersede any obstacle and prevent any accident. So it's not so much about giving information as a gift. It's more about giving love and then letting everything else work itself out. Because I'm not God. I'm just a humble peon trying to make my way in the world like the rest of us.
So even if you were to see something bad, you wouldn't say it?
No, because there's no guarantee that's the exact outcome. If I'm going to see something bad, it's like a math equation. If I see the number 4, I already know that 2 plus 2 or 3 plus 1 or 1 plus
How about 0 plus 4?
1 or 0 plus 4, and all of those are bad. You know what I mean? So the correct answer is to add another number into the equation, like disrupt the pattern.
Got it.
Instead of say, hey, 4 is coming, 4 is coming. But because the numbers are already leading up to 4. So instead you remove a number or add a number, you change a variable, and you don't make a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
Well said.
Thanks.
Triple Shot Mindset.